Wonderful, and welcome to the Wednesday workshop, less of a mouthful than the Mindful Monday meditation session. And today we're going to be, in the past with I Meditate, we did a season of workshops where we looked at the chakras, each of the chakras, and we did a meditation for each, and we explored that. Let's go back a bit now, but all the videos are in the members area, I seem to recall. So what I want to do today, we're moving from India. We're going to move to Japan, and we're going to be looking at the traditional energy system associated with Japanese spirituality, and also martial arts. And this is, in some ways, let me think. In some ways, it echoes the chakra system. However, I actually prefer it. It makes more sense to me. Which which once I've gone through it, hopefully that will make more sense. So in Japan, we have the universal energy that is ki. Chinese, it's chi. In India, it's prana or kundalini. It's that vital life energy that flows through everything. And it's an energy that cannot be measured, and it cannot be, you can't store it in a battery or in an object, but it can be cultivated and it can be experienced. And one way of looking at the whole idea of cultivating our energy is to think of it a little bit like a vegetable garden, where you dig the ground, you plant your vegetables, this, that, and the other, whatever you fancy. And if you were to just leave it, it wouldn't be too long before the weeds crept back in. They'd start to choke everything. They tend to grow quicker than the veg, so they'd choke out the veg. And rather than a wonderful bed of vegetables and healthy things to eat, you might end up with a plot full of nettles and not much else. Now, don't get me wrong, nettles are quite nice to eat and they're very good for you. The tea is wonderful for curing hay fever. However, the purpose, the effort initially put in is lost. Whereas if you were to plant that garden, dig the soil, plant your rows, your beans, this, that, and the other, and you tend to it regularly, you keep on top of it. At the moment you see a bit of a nettle or a bit of a weed coming, you pull that out, or you till a bit of soil here. If it's dry, you water it. The more you tend to it and look after that garden, then you're moving towards having a prosperous, healthy crop of fruit, of veg, whatever you've got growing in it. And that's why we as human beings need to work at cultivating our own energy regularly. It's the van has had an issue a bit back, and I had to take the battery off and charge it to make sure it wasn't the battery. And the battery would take the charge, but after a certain amount of time it starts waning again. And it's the same with ourselves. If we're working energetically, we boost our energy, we strengthen our energy, we build that flow of energy and our connection to the world around us, and it lifts us, it makes us feel good, it makes us feel more alive. But if we don't keep that up, a bit like the battery on the van, that energy, that vibrational level will start to drop. And so it's an ongoing process, and we cultivate that energy through meditations, through exercises, through the things we eat. And every little effort that we make to cultivate the garden or ourselves, however small, will have an impact on our future and our outcome. And so we too must tend to ourselves by practicing different techniques that will help and encourage the flow of energy, the flow of ki. if we take the notion and the Japanese notion that we are all from the one, and we will all return to the one. I like that one. That one could be anything. Could be Aldi. Who knows? But we, the sense of we come from the source and we return to the source. And key, that energy is the energy of the source. So the more connected we are to life, the universe, and our own energy and the universal energies, the better our quality of life becomes. But how do we know if we are connected more or less? So the more we work with our energy, the more we foster and nurture that energy, the more patient we find ourselves with life, the calmer we find ourselves with life. We find it easier to work with acceptance, to be able to go, this is just how it is, and I'm moving through this, and where can I be? Where will I go? And just accepting the journey. The deeper inner knowledge we get, the more we work with our own energy, the greater understanding we have of our true selves, and the greater our humility. And humility, being humble, is not a weakness. It's I remember being at a workshop ages ago now, and they were talking about being humble and how we had to be humble, and it really put some people's egos out. Basically, they didn't like the idea, I'm not going to be humble, I'm me and I'm great, and yeah, you are, we all are, wonderful. But humility actually is a strength. Water is humble, and water can sustain life, and it can absolutely extinguish life as well. It has great vast power, and yet it is a humble element. So those are the things, when we're connected to that universal energy, that we can expect to see more patience, more calm, more acceptance of ourselves and life, greater inner knowledge and humility. If we're disconnected, we tend to be more impatient, we tend to be more angry, we tend to be more disappointed with everything. Like, oh yeah, you know, like I watched Ghostbusters last night, the new movie, absolutely loved it. If my energy level is low and I'm not so connected, then I might have watched it and gone, well, you know, I suppose it was all right, but I thought they might have done this, and we'll find ourselves critical. We'll find ourselves disappointed. The more disconnected we are, the more ignorant we can become, the less aware of the bigger picture we can become, and also the more arrogant we become when we're disconnected from that universal energy. So chi energy in the Japanese energy system, rather than the Indian chakra system, consists of three. I think this is why I like it. It's just simpler. I always like things that are simple. Three elements or three components. You have earth ki, which is as it sounds. You have heavenly ki, which is also kind of as it sounds. And then you have heart ki or chi. And by cultivating the earth energy within us and cultivating the mind energy and the heavenly energy, it awakens the heart energy. And when we awaken that heart energy, that's when we're coming from our true self. That's when life starts to feel good, despite whatever challenges are there. And the earth ki is very much attached to the physical form. Heavenly ki is very much attached to mind. And the aim of practice is to integrate the two, to bring mind and body into one. When we do that, that in turn then opens up the heart center, which is our true self. Now, Earth Key is centered in the Hara or Geshen, if as it's known, or the Tanden, or basically a couple of 3 inches below the navel, and towards the spine. We've talked about it in a workshop before. And this is the center where our earth energy develops and where it's stored and where it grows. It's also the center where our original energy, that life energy that we were born with, sits and dwells. By focusing and thinking of the Hara, by putting our attention on it in our meditations, and in when we do things like walking, like exercise, I put a blog up the other day about combining the reciting of the Reiki principles with the moves of the sun salutation, and part of that process is, as you're breathing, you're constantly holding into awareness your Hara, your center, and you're moving around that with all the moves, and it's quite amazing experience, actually. But when we focus and think of our Hara, our mind integrates with our body. Think about it. Our minds are like, what's happening today? What's happening tomorrow? What happened yesterday? Oh, think about that thing in the past. Think of that thing that may happen or may not happen. And it's like this. Our minds are that flitting, chattering, blah, 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 blah. Whereas the Hara is very much situated in the body, in the physical. And our bodies are very much now. Our bodies are, my body's not thinking about tomorrow. My body's going, I'm sat on this chair with some headphones on talking to you. It's saying I'm going to need to take a drink because I'm thirsty and a bit dry from talking. The body is very much in the moment. So when we bring the attention of the mind into the Hara, we're bringing ourselves more into the moment. We're bringing our consciousness and our mind into the moment and integrating with the body. And the Hara grounds the mind because, as I said, the physical body is in the present. And when we reunite the two, that creates a sense of balance with life. A sense of balance with life, and in turn stimulates the third component, the third element, the heart center, the heart key. The three are known within Japanese medicine, energy medicines, traditionally as either the three diamonds or the three treasures. We might just refer to them as the three centers, but for me, maybe it's because of Druidry past as well, but the whole triads and triplets of things are, to me, is always a more simple and powerful way of working with things. And it does differ in ways to the chakra system as we looked at in the past. There's slightly different ideas about how things work and how it evolves. Like any of these things that we look at, they can be an absolute lifetime's worth of study in themselves. So moving forward, how we experience these energies, earth energy, heavenly energy, heart energy, universal energy, is very much an individual experience. So someone can say, oh, when you do this experience, you may experience this, you may experience that, but they cannot tell you what to experience. And they cannot ever tell you that what you're experiencing is wrong. And certainly I know in my Reiki training, when we were talking about doing hands-on healing and self-healing, and he says it starts tingling, very much that sometimes you'll feel like the universe is moving through you, and other times you won't feel anything. Doesn't mean it's not working, and there is no right or wrong. So if ever you're working with any sort of energy in any form and someone tries to tell you that what you're experiencing is wrong, don't listen. Your experience is your experience. That's how you know it's real. And as long as you just think of these things, the centers, kind of intellectualize over them. Well, yes, I can understand how working on the base one, first of all, to ground you, then allows you to be safe and secure in opening up the higher level. And that all makes sense. As long as it stays as an intellectual thing, an idea, a concept, it's never going to come alive for you as a practice. It's only when you begin to work with the techniques we're going to look at today, but also others that you may discover, that you will start to experience the things we're talking about. And when you do, quite often words don't do it justice. They're not quite enough to describe some of the places the experience of energy can take you. And there's an old adage, to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. And that's about having the knowledge, having the learning, to then dare to put it into action, to want and will it into an experience, but then to keep quiet about your experience. Because you could be working with one of these exercises, these practices we're going to look at today, and you could have a truly profound experience, which, based on your beliefs and perception, could be an encounter of the awareness of the presence of God, or an expansive experience of connecting with the most distant reaches of the universe. And it might be mind-blowing for you. And then if you go out and you bump into someone like, oh my God, I had this experience the other day, and wow, it was like every molecule in my body was blazing like the sun. And I think, right, yeah, what drugs were you on? Had a few to drink, did you? Hopefully people wouldn't be that. Or they might just turn around and go, you're talking nonsense. You've lost it. In which case, that very precious experience, that really profound experience you have, is now being brought into question by somebody else. And because we're human beings, we, rather than validate and value our own experience, we can have a tendency, if somebody turns around and kind of criticizes or questions our experience, to start questioning it ourselves. And you don't want that. So that's why when you're doing these things, well, any form of meditation, any form of self-work, or any sort of spiritual work, sometimes it's best to just hold on to that gift that experience is for you, and never tell anyone. Because whilst you've not told anyone, you can truly believe it without question. And I think that's important. So the techniques we're going to look at today will help you gain an experience and understanding, and help you start working with the three centers. I'm going to be sitting down for these. However, it can be good to stand up for them. You can do it sitting down as well. If you're standing up for them, then you're standing with your feet roughly hip width apart, putting the weight forward onto the front of your feet more than the back, the knees slightly bent, your arms just relaxed by your side. Again, like we do with meditation, imagining a string at the top of the head holding you up like a puppet will help you fall into position nicely with that. And the first exercise we're going to do, and you may have done this before in different things in different places, but the first one we're going to do is just about sensing that energy, sensing that key energy, that universal energy. If you're sitting down for this, make sure throughout all these both feet are on the floor, just so you've got that connection, that anchor. So I'm not going to explain it first. We're just going to go straight into this. So have a fidget, get comfortable, and then take both your hands Just start rubbing them together. And as you're doing that, you'll notice heat building up, warming the palms of the hands up. You can get faster and faster with it if you want. Just build up some heat, some energy in those hands. Once you've got them going really well, both hands going, hold them up and then bring your thumbs down like this. Now, the point where your thumb tip touches is actually the point where energy will be leaving your hand. That is the point where energy comes in and out through your hands. So now what I want you to do is, making a note of that point, is just start to gently take it in turns on each hand, rubbing that point in that spot. And you'll notice, a little bit like when we do the EFT work, that they can be a little bit tender. So don't press it too hard, it's only gentle, and then swap over to the other one. And then swapping over to the other one. And then swap over again. And now we're going to play with an imaginary ball. I want you to imagine that you're scooping up, just get your hands and scoop up a ball of energy, and we're going to start shaping and molding it. So you bring that energy in, get it down to the size maybe of a rounder's ball, that kind of small size, and just start molding it. Just imagining molding that. Don't let your hands touch, but just imagine you're molding that ball. Maybe you roll it a little bit, just starting to form that ball in your hands. You're going to roll that way. And then just allow it to float there, just in your mind. Just imagine that's floating there. And just start playing with it. Start pushing it in. And then allowing that ball, in fact, expanding it out, bringing it further out, making it larger, maybe a tennis ball, cricket ball, small football. And then pushing it back in. Make it larger again. And smaller. And just roll it around in your hands, just turning it and rolling it. Bring it back out as you roll it. Bring it in as you roll it. And now just pay attention to your hands. How are they feeling? Are they tingly? Do they feel warm? Is there like little pulses, electricity? Does it feel like almost like a magnetic pull on them? Just allow yourself to focus on your hands and your experience of that energy in the hands. And every time you practice this, you're developing sensitivity to that energy for your hands and within your hands, but also you're becoming more aware of what that energy feels like to you. And again, like I said, no one can tell you what that energy feels like to you. Only you know what that feels like for you now. And it may change, it may shift, but by practicing this first exercise, you'll get used to it, and you'll sense it, and you'll know when it shifts, you'll know when it changes, you'll know when it feels stronger, and you'll know when you're feeling a bit flat from it. So give your hands a shake out, and we'll move on to our next exercise. Now this is one that ideally you stand up for, although for this evening I'm not going to insist on that, mainly because I haven't quite got the room with the chair here, and it'd be a bit of a commotion to move it all. So I'll talk us through it. So we're working first of all on sensing and building the earth energy, the earth key. This focuses on the hara, which, like I said, is the center that holds our original energy, that energy that we were born with. And The earth energy, the earth key, surprisingly, no bonus points if you guessed it, emanates from the earth. And it's kind of a heavy energy. It's powerful, but it's heavy and it's very grounding. If you're feeling like all a bit panicky and life's a bit out of control, this exercise, connecting with that earth energy, that earth key, will really help you ground and feel back in control again. Sometimes quite dramatically grounding. I remember a friend of mine doing this many moons ago, back when I was running Druid retreats, and life was all kind of running out of control. Things were going on left, right, and center, and it was all a bit of a mess. And I remember turning around to say, "You want to do this exercise? It'll sound simple, but it's really going to ground you. It's going to," and she I remember phoning me up about half an hour after she'd done it, saying that she could barely lift herself off the ground. She felt like she dropped, like poof, because it was so grounding, so heavy for her. But heavy in a good way, because at that point in time she needed grounding, and we need to ground if we're going to be working with the higher energies, that heavenly energy. Because otherwise, if we don't, you're in the risk of being kind of, people say, oh, he's away with the fairies, or he's got his head in the clouds. If you just work on your heavenly energy, that's the problem, and it's unstable. Remember, this is all about balancing that energy. If you think about yin yang, it's that balance of energy, the one within the other and the other within the one. So working on our energy, when we work on the earth energy and the hara, it develops our focus, our persistence, and it helps ground and stabilize our minds, which is great because it also then helps us kind of feel less stressed, less anxious. It boosts our self-esteem and boosts our confidence. So let's go into this second exercise. Like I say, you would potentially normally be standing for this, but we'll do this sitting. But if you're sitting, try to have both feet on the floor. We're going to start by taking 3 deep breaths together, and on the third breath, just close your eyes, go within, just follow the instructions to the best of your ability, and you'll really get the most out of this. Taking a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Taking a deep breath in, hold it, breathe out. Taking a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Allowing your eyes to close, just return to your natural breath. Just follow your breath for a few moments. As your attention starts to focus within. And I want to take your focus of attention and ease it down through yourself, through the ground, down into the very center of the earth. Just imagine that. Your attention, awareness flowing down through the earth to the very center of the earth. I wonder how that would feel for you now. That experience of the cool, powerful earth pulling you to its center. Your body sinking into it. However you experience that. And as you come to rest and settle at the center of the earth, visualize, picture the center of the earth, that core of energy and molten power directly in front of you. I wonder what that looks like to you, what sound that makes, how it feels to be within the presence of that immense, powerful energy at the center of the earth. And now intuitively, however feels right to you, build a connection from that earth center to your hara, that point in the lower part of the belly, a couple of inches below the navel, towards the spine. Picture and imagine a ball of energy sitting there, and that energy ball connecting to that energy of the earth. And with every in-breath that we take, we're going to feel that energy from the center of the earth entering into the hara, into that lower center, into that earth center. And then as we breathe out, we're going to keep that connection and keep that energy there. We're going to do this 9 times, slow, deep breaths. 1. Drawing it all the way in. 2. Holding it there as you breathe out. 3. Feeling that energy flowing into you from the earth center as you breathe back out. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Just returning to your natural breath. Notice any sensations, feelings. How it feels now to have drawn that earth energy into the hara, into that center. Just be aware of that. And then in the mind's eye, just allow yourself to rise back up through the earth. Back to where you are now. And then just open your eyes and be here now, ready to continue. So today we're going through a number of techniques. But if you were working, or when you're working with developing those energy centers and those connections, you'd spend time, weeks, months, working just with the earth center to start off with. Just with that one until you felt really grounded and secure in that center. And then we move up to the heaven key, the heaven center. And the energy of heaven is light. And connecting with that energy helps make us more intuitive. It sharpens our minds. And it's associated, as you'd imagine, with the head, with the crown. But it is, and I'm re-emphasizing it, it is important to work and develop the base, the earth key first, to avoid that kind of lost in the clouds, space cadet kind of mindset. When we're connected with the heaven key, the heaven center, we can often see colors in our meditations, sometimes see visions or imaginings, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes we can hear. I've known people to talk about actually hearing resonances and sounds. All these things are wonderful. However, they are not the purpose. If you experience them, don't hold on to them. Don't claw to it as though that's the purpose, because that will hold you back. That will become an anchor that stops you reaching further. And when you're working with the heaven center, with the heaven key, that second diamond, that second treasure, make sure you stay grounded and balanced, which is why we do our earth energy center first. So let's move into the second exercise. And this one is all about sensing and connecting with that heaven energy, that heavenly energy, that light. Again, if you can do stand with this one, it makes it a lot easier. We'll take 3 deep breaths, then we'll close our eyes. I'll guide you through this. Taking a deep breath in. And out. In. And out, relaxing deeper. In. And out. Being aware of your feet on the floor. That grounding sensation from the past exercise. But bring your attention to a point just above your head. And begin to visualize, to picture a bright ball of light, of energy above your head. Just floating there. And this ball of light, this ball of energy, draws down energy from the heavens. Just imagine that now. That ball of light above the head. I don't know if it's spinning or just floating there. But constantly drawing down energy from the heavens. Filling that ball of light and energy with that heavenly key. I wonder how that feels, what that looks like. Whether it makes a noise, does it hum, does it whir? What's that like for you now? What we're going to do is on the in-breath, slow, deep breathing again. We're going to breathe in. And as you do that, feel and imagine that ball moving down through the head center, down through the heart center, and finally down into the hara, the lower center, the earth center. All on the in-breath, slow, deep breathing. And then on the out-breath, it reverses and it comes up from the hara through the heart center and back out through the top of the head. So let's do this 9 times. Breathing in, down through the centers, head, heart, to the hara. Breathing out, back up through the centers, hara, heart, head. And continue. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. A ball of energy floating above your head again. And just pay attention now. Shift your focus to how you feel. Any sensations, any feelings. Maybe you're feeling more at peace, more balanced. And just make a note. Be aware of how that feels for you. Bringing that heavenly energy down, back up. And then when you're ready, just gently open your eyes, return to here and now, ready to move on to our final practice. As I said before, when we started this, when we work, first of all, with the earth key, the earth center, and then the heaven center, that brings the energy of heaven and earth into balance within us, into harmony. And when that happens, that is when the heart center starts to open up. That's when we start cultivating our true self and living life from our true selves. And when that opens within our lives, within ourselves, we are entering into a point of perfect balance through that merging of heaven and earth. And that heart center is at the center of the chest. And in awakening it, it allows you to shine like a light into all aspects of your life, but actually into other people's lives as well. In Reiki, there's the idea of becoming the Reiki, and that's when you can't just walk up to people and go, let me heal you, let me heal you. It'd be most annoying, and somebody at some point is probably going to hit you. However, when you get to that point, when you're coming from your true self, when you're connected to your own inner light, we all know people who just seem to radiate out a light to something, and when you're in their presence, it lifts you, and problems that you had seem to solve themselves. And that's where self-cultivation takes us, where we become a light for the world. And through working with the earth and the heaven centers and awakening the heart center, it allows us to become that light of positivity and change and of love in the world. When we start awakening the heart center, hurt, trauma, stress, anxiety, all those difficult challenges of life will all start to resolve themselves. Some things just, our perspective changes. Some things that we thought were important and worried us, actually, the moment we realize they're not, no longer bother us. And other things, the process of healing will set in motion. We will discover more ability to forgive in life, to not judge, to just accept, to have more compassion, and to have more peace within our lives. We are, once we start working in that heart center, truly cultivating our true self. So for this exercise, more than the others, you need to be standing when you're practicing it for reasons that will become apparent. So we're going to take a couple of deep breaths in, a couple of 3 deep breaths in. And then you may choose or you may not choose to close your eyes for this one. It's a personal thing. So let's start by taking those 3 deep breaths. Breathing in, hold it, and breathe out. Breathing in Hold it and breathe out. Breathing in. Hold it and breathe out. And be mindful of the sensations left over from working the earth center and the heaven center, working with that earth key and the heavenly key. And what I want you to do is to reach out with your arms and imagine you're embracing at heart level a tree trunk. So that just gives you the idea of the shape of your hands. So you're embracing a large tree. And when you're standing to do this, you breathe in, and as you breathe out, you reach down to the earth and you scoop up. Just imagine scooping up that earth energy. On the in-breath again, bringing it up and then bringing it into the heart. And then the hands raise up above the head. On the in-breath. And then as you breathe out, you imagine you're bringing that heavenly energy back down. Breathing that into the heart center. And let's do that 9 times. Reaching down, breathing out. Breathing in, pulling that energy up. Breathing out, bring it into the heart. Breathing in, reaching up to the heavens. Breathing out, scooping up that heavenly energy and bringing it down into the heart. Continue on. Breathing in, reaching down. Breathing out to the heart. Breathing into the sky. Gathering that energy and bringing it down to the heart. In, reaching down. Out, bringing it up. Into the heart. Out to the sky. Bringing it in on the in-breath. To the heart. Continue 6 more times. 1. 2. 3. 6. And just hold the hands there over the heart center. Pay attention to any sensations, any feelings, and how you feel. If for a moment you feel a sense of balance, of harmony, even if fleeting. And to practice these on a daily basis, starting with the earth and building up to the heaven. And then when you feel the balance between the two, moving on to the third and final, will help cultivate your energy, bringing more balance and harmony to life, more vitality, more confidence, less stress, less anxiety, grounding you but inspiring you to live by your true self. And then when you're ready to return, just become aware of the room around you, move your feet a bit, become aware of the ground beneath you, have a stretch, have a fidget, and feel good. And with these exercises, even if you're not feeling it, there's a long held belief that energy goes where attention flows. So to start off with, don't be discouraged if you're doing these exercises and you're not sensing stuff straight away. If you're following it through, if you're putting your attention into those different places and following the exercises, that will build, and you will begin to notice now and in the future that sense of energy, whatever that's going to be for you, because it is different for all these. But practice them. Earth and heaven energy becomes strong. Awaken that heart center, awaken that balance and harmony in your life.